Hey, alright everybody, so in today's video I want to talk a little bit about these bad boys here. Now those are called DaCinka casting sinkers, long distance casting sinkers. And this is just another great surf casting innovation coming out of New Zealand. Yes, that's right, these sinkers are designed in Auckland by a company called DaCinka. And a little while ago, Zane from DaCinka contacted me via our YouTube channel and asked me if I was interested in testing out those little bad boys for surf casting and also in particularly for drone fishing because they got some really nifty features that make them very suitable for drone fishing. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the sinkers and then give them a test. I've been using those sinkers for a little while already, and yeah, so let me show you what the fuss is all about, right? So first of all, you will see that those sinkers resemble a surf casting sand grapnel sinker, you know, whatever you call them, with the little wires that will anchor the sinker into the sand. So just like your standard surf casting sand sinkers. But the actual lead weight is enclosed by a plastic casing, and we got this extension bit here. So this extension bit is actually there to hold your bait, so that when you cast out the sinker, you will cast out one unit, the bait and the sinker together. The bait sits in that compartment here, in that bait compartment, whatever you would call it. Your line goes to the end, right? And when you cast out the sinker, the bait and the sinker, they fly out like a torpedo, reducing any wind resistance. And yeah, the sinker flies out like a torpedo. And according to the DaCinka website, this will increase the casting distance of an average angler by about 40%. So that is quite an increase in distance, and the further you can cast out, often that means the more area you can cover and the better are your chances to catch something, right? Another nifty feature is a little hole here. So we got the lead weight inside the front bit, and of course there's a little bit of space around it, and that space is filled with a sponge inside, and here's a hole for that, and you can squeeze in your sands here. You can either use fish oil. The DaCinka website recommends to use fish oil, but I personally think that fish oil is not the best choice because it will seep out slowly because of the sponge, but oil does not mix with water, so it will just rise to the top and leave a slick on top of the water where you don't want the sand or any oil. So better use some sand like Gulp Secret Sauce, squeeze that in there and it will slowly release the sand. That's a pretty nifty feature. So the sinker doubles up as a berley dispenser, right? And as any other grapnel sinker, the wires here, they just sort of clip in, and when you reel the sinker back, they just come off and you can reel it back. Now that brings me to another really nifty feature of the sinker. Because of the design, when you start reeling it back and it loses its grip in the sand, it will turn around in the water, and because of this hollow bit here, it will float to the top of the water, and while you're reeling it in, it will not bounce along the bottom, but it will just be reeled in along the surface. Now this is one of the features that I think is really, really good for drone fishing, because when you're drone fishing, you're casting your baits out a long distance, maybe 500 meters, maybe even more, and often when you reel in your sinker and it will go over the bottom, it will get stuck on sandbanks, or even worse, if there are some rocks or something along there in the water, you might get stuck and lose your gear. And it's also pretty tough on the old arm to reel in 500 meters when the sinker is constantly touching the bottom. So with this sinker being on the surface, you don't have much resistance when you reel in your line to check your bait. If you don't have any fish on and you want to check your bait and you reel in those 500 meters with that sinker just skimming over the surface, makes it very easy actually to reel it in. So that's a huge advantage for drone fishing, I think. So the second cast, we had a bite but didn't get hooked, so I reeled the sinker back in and I could see that it's on the surface. So it's good. It's like floating up to the surface when you reel it in. It's not dragging along the bottom. It's a spiny. I don't know why. It was. Must have been something else on Cook. This is gone too.
Oh gosh, might be spiny too.
Also for surf casting, if you get a long cast in and you reel it in quickly, you won't have that getting stuck on those lips and sandbanks right in front of you, like with other grapnel sinkers. They often get stuck, you know, on those lips where it goes straight down. Sometimes you even lose them. With this sinker, you don't have the problem. It will just rise to the top of the water. You reel it back in and you're all good to go. No loss there. So these are three really cool features. Let me repeat. First of all, you got the compartment to put your bait in. So the sinker and the bait fly out as one unit. You got the berley dispensing hole here, and or the scent dispenser, right? And you got the feature that the sinker will come to the surface when you reel it back in. Now you might wonder, how do you attach your bait here, right? So it doesn't fly out. So let me show you how that is done. Now DaCinka provides this kind of roll here, and this is and it has on one end a sticky bit, and the sticky bit gets activated by moisture. So you lick that a little bit and it will stick a bit like cigarette paper. And what you do is you tear off a little bit of that. That will fit around the sinker, right? So you just use a little bit of that, so that big roll lasts forever basically. You give it a bit of a lick and it will stick to one end of the sinker. Now we can put our bait into the compartment here, put that around the bait and stick it to itself on the other side. Make sure it only overlaps a little bit here. You don't want to wrap it around twice, otherwise it won't come loose. But you only want to have it stick to itself with a slight little overlap here. And once it hits the water, the moisture will dissolve that little bit of stickiness here, the sticky glue that's on there. And you know, it's like the old stems basically. So once the water gets on there, it will come off and will float away. This is completely biodegradable, which is pretty cool. So it will dissolve in a short time in the water anyway, and your bait will just come off and float free. That is the idea behind it. Really cool. So let's give it a try here in the real world. I'm out at a nice surf casting beach at the moment, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. I've already set up my surf caster with the DaCinka. I'll show you guys. So there are different ways you can attach your rig. So I've got my sinker here, and by the way, they have three different weights with these sinkers. They got a 4 ounce, a 5 ounce, and a 6 ounce. So they're color coded, which is pretty cool. If you're just getting up without having a coffee and you're sort of fumbling around in your tackle box, you might not be able to select the right sinker weight, but big and color coded, really easy to select the sinker you want. I kind of like that. And yeah, maybe that also works as an attraction to fish. Like, you know, often fish are attracted to colors, like bright shiny colors. They want to go and inspect it. And if you on top of that got a little bit of burley trail going there, they might just find your hook. So what I've done is I just added a swivel, a three-way swivel to the top of my rig. So here's my main line coming here from my rod, and that's the end that I usually clip off. I forgot that little tack end here, and from here is my rig, right? So I have a length from the three-way swivel to the DaCinka, and on the other part of the three-way swivel I just added a dropper with a single hook. So you just got to make sure that the dropper is then long enough so it fits into your bait compartment here. So yep. I'll go a little bit further away so you guys can see that. So the length of your dropper should be so that your hook is right here at this compartment, right? If you make the dropper too short, then you won't be able to use it. And if it's too long, it can be a little bit longer, I suppose, because this end can be slack, but it's best if it just fits. Now let's attach a little bit of bait. I've got some salted kahawai here. Now being salted, the bait is pretty tough, so I just put a little bit of bait elastic around it. Here we got our sinker. And now we just need to wrap that up with a bit of the supplied paper. There you have it. That is not coming off. Here we got our bait with the supplied paper. As you see, it's not coming off, but once it hits the water, it will just, this little seam here will just instantly get wet, dissolve, and the paper will come off. So now when we cast the sinker, as you can see, it will just fly as one unit through the air, like one little bullet. And this really increases the casting distance, right? You can see it straight away. Shooting one bullet through the air rather than having your bait dangling around somewhere while you're casting makes a big difference. All right, so we'll give it a cast now. The condition is pretty good today. We got a little lip here, and it's just incoming tight. We got our bait on here, so let's give it a nice long cast. So the sinker is set really well now. The wires, they really hold onto the sand quite nice. So that was actually a very easy cast. You can really feel the difference when you cast the sinker out, how it just sort of shoots through the air, right? It's a lot easier to cast that than trying to cast a dropper rig or just a dropper with your bait flying around and having all this wind resistance. So yeah, really cool. I'm kind of impressed with it, and I wanted to share the DaCinka with you because it is a New Zealand product. It's a New Zealand innovation, and it comes out of Auckland, and you can buy them from the DaCinka website, dacinka.co.nz, or you can also find them in select stores where you can buy them directly. So yeah, why not support a local business, and then you get really cool, innovative fishing equipment like this. Now, how does that all tie in with Fishing Reminder? Well, of course, Fishing Reminder is there. At Fishing Reminder, of course, we predict the best bite times, guys, right? So, and if you combine the right equipment with the best bite times, then you get your best chances of catching something. Ooh. I think I had a bite. So why not go over to fishingreminder.com and get all your fishing information there, your bite times, your tide times, everything you need to know to go fishing. You can find that at fishingreminder.com, and yeah, by doing so you also support our channel, so we can show you more cool items like this and make some more cool videos. Often we get stuck in our ways and then we just do the same thing over and over again, but fishing is always learning and there are so many things to try. So I think personally, and I love it personally, to just try out new things and see if they work or not. And like the DaCinka obviously works really well. So yeah, so why not try out new things? Don't be always stuck in your way and do the same thing over and over again. That makes fishing boring. The DaCinka package also comes with an oil bottle, so you can fill that up with fish oil and then squeeze that into the sinker. Or you can, like I said earlier, my recommendation would be to use fish scent rather, like for example secret sauce, and squeeze that in there because it will mix with the water better and have a longer lasting scent rather than oil. Now the reeling in part is really easy. Check this out. So because the sinker is now on the surface, it is really easy to reel it in. Can you see that? It's just coming in over the surface there. And then I'm gonna lick the other end, so maybe that's too many reps, I don't know.
And then you don't have to lick, I think you use water to...
No, you have to lick it so it sticks here, see? Like so.
You can use water nearby.
You have to lick it, okay? That's how they do it. It says in the description, lick it. So Haitian Park knows it better, but we don't stick it in the water because then the whole thing dissolves. That's the whole purpose of it. It dissolves in water, so we have to lick it. All right? Okay.
Disgusting with this face.
Give it to me. Make that face into the camera.
Disgusting with the bait to lick these things.
Well, you're not licking the bait, you're licking the paper, okay? All right, so we licked the paper and it tastes quite good actually.